Have you ever heard something that was hard to believe? Did you know that one of Jesus' disciples had a hard time believing things he hadn't seen? His name is Thomas. We're going to tell Thomas a few amazing animal facts and see if he believes them. All right, time for our first amazing animal fact. Did you know that a gorilla purrs like a kitten? Thomas, do you find that hard to believe? I doubt it. Okay, here's our second amazing animal fact. Hummingbirds can fly backwards and upside down. Thomas, any thoughts? I'd have to see it to believe it. Moving on to our third and final amazing animal fact. Did you know that snails have over 10,000 teeth? Thomas? I don't believe that. Thomas, don't you remember that with God all things are possible, even these amazing animal facts? Well, as you can see, Thomas is a doubter, which is probably why he's often called Doubting Thomas. But did you know that Thomas is known for making one of the greatest belief statements of any of Jesus' disciples? How did that happen? Well, listen now to the true story of the doubting disciple who believed. On the Sunday evening that Jesus was resurrected, his close friends gathered in a room together. But Thomas was not there. They had seen the empty tomb earlier in the day, but still they had locked the door. They were afraid. Suddenly in their midst, Jesus appeared before them. "Peace be with you." Jesus spread out his arms to show them his hands. They could see the holes where the nails had been. "Peace be with you." The disciples were filled with joy. Later, the disciples went to find Thomas to share the amazing news. When the disciples told him, "Jesus is risen. We have seen him," Thomas did not believe them. "I won't believe unless I see the scars in his hands and touch him to know he's real. It's too hard to believe." The next week the disciples were together again in the room, and this time Thomas was there with them. Once again the door was locked, and once again Jesus appeared before them. "Peace. Thomas, see my hands. Thomas, touch my scars. Thomas, stop doubting and believe. My Lord and my God. Thomas, you believe because you see me. Blessed are those who have not seen, yet believe." Thomas was one of the first disciples to recognize that Jesus is not only the Lord, but he is also God. That's a pretty amazing belief from such a doubter. So remember, with God all things are possible. So don't doubt. Believe.
He's really risen. He's kept his word and he's released him from prison. He knows he's living, what's ever living. He's kept his word and he's released him from, how I was confused before. Well, he was walking through a closed door. Now I praise him 'cause he showed himself to me. Well, we were thought, but I never thought that we committed murder. 'Cause if he rose again, if he died for all men, then we would know him up there. And people spat in his face, and he was fond of the praise with the love that comes from heaven. There's forgiveness for drown, and there's forgiveness for our murder, now he's risen. Well, now he's risen, he's really risen. He's kept his word and he's released the people from prison. You know he's living, once ever living. He's kept his word and he's released him. Oh, you know how else can you never fall? Well, he just walked in through the closed door. And now I praise him 'cause he's shown himself to me. Well, now he's risen, he's really risen. He's kept his word and he's released the people from prison. You know he's living, once ever living. He's kept his word and he's released me from your eyes confused before. Well, he just walked into a closed door. And now I praise him 'cause he's shown himself to me.
Welcome to our time of prayer. It's good to be with you again this week. Today we're thinking about the story of Thomas. Thomas, sometimes known as Doubting Thomas. Thomas had lots of questions, didn't he? He couldn't believe what his friends were telling him, that Jesus was alive. He knew that he died on the cross. How could it be that he'd come back to life? I expect that Thomas had quite a range of feelings. He may well have been feeling angry at the soldiers that had taken Jesus away. I think he was probably feeling really sad. He thought he'd never see Jesus again. He was probably feeling scared. Scared what would happen to him and his friends if the soldiers found them. And I think he was also feeling confused. He couldn't understand what his friends were saying. Jesus was alive? How could that be possible? You know, Thomas had to see Jesus for himself. He had to have the evidence before he would believe. If I told you that on Wednesday, when I went for a walk in Brockwell Park, I saw a blue cow drinking water at the water fountain, I think you'd say to me, I doubt it, Jackie. And you would need evidence, a photograph, to believe that. When I was a little girl, we went on holiday to Wales, and one day my dad went fishing. And when he came back, he told my brothers and my sisters and me that he had caught a fish and it was this big. And I looked at my brothers and my sisters and they looked at me. And in our heads, we were probably all thinking the same. I bet it was this big, Dad. And we would have had to see a fish this big to believe it. You know, the story of Thomas teaches us that it's okay to have questions, to have doubts. Having doubts doesn't mean that we don't have faith. It means we have a growing faith. It's good to ask the questions. It's good to examine what we've been told because that matures our faith. It makes it grow. You know, Thomas was able to see Jesus. He was able to put his fingers into Jesus' hands, into those holes where the nails had been. And when he did, he dropped to his knees and he said, "My Lord and my God." And Jesus said to him, you know, "Thomas, you believe because you've seen me. Blessed are those that believe that haven't seen me." You know, blessed are we. We haven't actually seen Jesus alive, but we believe it's true. Now I thought what you could do today is you could take a piece of paper, you could draw around your hands, and where the holes would be in Jesus' hands, you could put hearts. Because if you think back to Good Friday, we talked about God's big love for us, that the cross is all about big love. So draw the hearts. And then I thought on the back what you could do, you could write down any questions you have about your faith. Questions about stories you've been told, prayers you've prayed. You could write down any emotions you're feeling. If you're feeling angry, write that down. Or confused, upset, whatever you're feeling, write it on the back. And that can be a prayer. And you can tell God, talk to God about the things you've written. You could maybe share them with your parents. Or if you've got questions, you might wait till we return back to church and you could ask your teachers in Trinity Kids. So once you've done that, I thought you could turn it over and then you could write on the front your statement of belief. You could write, I believe. I believe on one side, and on the other side you could sign your name. So I've written, I believe Jackie. I might have doubts, I might have questions, but I believe that Jesus died on the cross and he rose again. Hallelujah. I look forward to seeing you all next week. Bye.